You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.
Good morning. Let's start again. I don't know why my mic's always muted. It shouldn't be when I come in. Oh, I know, because I've muted it. Anyway, you don't need to know all the you don't need to know all the back of the business news, I guess. But good morning. Welcome to TGI Sports Talk's Sunday Stream of Consciousness. Everybody watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Maybe some news to come on some Roku and other platforms soon. We'll see. As there's some negotiations going on between some of the formal national streaming sports shows like this one. All of my shows, quite frankly. So welcome. We thank the groups, and you see them scrolling always at the bottom. And my favorite ones. Sorry, I don't mean to leave anybody out. I can only put so many on the scroll, and they won't let me put any more, but I thank everybody who does it. John Gonzalez at Sports Authorities. John and I had a great debate Friday on the MLB update about the trade deadline and the Yankees and Mason Miller. We'll get into some of that today, I suppose, since I'm sure it's possible some of the people that are on today weren't here. We'll talk about some baseball. But again, also Greg Rawlings, I want to thank the groups. Greg Rawlings at America's Pastime and Love of Baseball, Flo and the Gang at Bottom Line Sports, Ken Krause at Golf Bud Sports of All Sorts, and Tanner D and the gang over at Let's Talk Sports. Good stuff. All great shows, a lot of great content. Check it out, as well as all my fellow cohorts on National Streaming Sports. Check out Sonia's stuff and Brian's stuff and James and Jack. All great stuff. Tip, tremendous stuff. Bo Crouch, all good stuff, guys. Be looking for them. If you can't find them if you watch them on Roku, you can still catch them on Facebook or YouTube or both. So anyway, Ralph Williams at RW Media, quick shout out to him, and Smoking Jim Frazier for their specifically the sports corner they do on Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Ralph does a lot of other stuff out of Ocean City, Maryland. Good stuff. Thumbs up DDH, thumbs up Mac McGrath. And check us out tomorrow morning, too, with the Jack and Keith Weekend Playbook. We'll be back at 8 o'clock. Things have been getting a little heated. So we can talk about lots of stuff today. We didn't touch on the Hall of Fame inductions last week with baseball. We had the Hall of Fame inductions in football yesterday. Yankees continue to play sloppily. After I defended their trade deadline and thought they had an A- result, every guy basically in that trade imploded Friday night. Could be an aberration, hopefully. But the base running continues to be ridiculous. What is Jazz frickin' Chisholm thinking about? Boone finally chews somebody out, but it's a coach. Oh, my God. Is there a team to beat in the AL after the deadline in the NL? Braves, Reds. Why are we playing a game at Bristol frickin' Raceway? You're risking all these. You're worried about guys' arms, right? But we're going to build a makeshift ball field in the middle of a raceway and put them out there to play. They didn't play. I don't know if that game's going to be made up or not. I got lots of stuff here to talk about. We'll get into all of it. Ryan Sandberg, we'll talk about. Want to send our condolences to Ryan Sandberg's family and friends. Great player. Great player. Anybody has something bad to say about Ryan Sandberg, you don't know the game of baseball, because all he did was play the game the way it was meant to be played. Everybody today should go watch film of Ryan Sandberg play baseball. Oh, God. Anyway, we'll talk about that stuff. We can talk about Parsons and McLaren requesting trades, the Hall of Fame inductions yesterday in football. Will Rice gets suspended. Hard Knocks starts Tuesday with the Bills. Jerry Jones, tells you that he had a deal in place with Micah without his agent present. And now he's reneged. LeBron opts in. We haven't talked about LeBron yet. Some basketball news. Bridges extension, 4 years, $150 million. I like it. Gilbert Arena. Has there ever been a bigger waste of talent? Well, I'm sure there has, than Gilbert Arena. NCAA. We're coming back, by the way. Wednesday night, we're back off hiatus on the College Football Huddle. We're going to talk about a lot of this stuff. We don't have to get into it today, but the NIL, they've set new guidelines where supposedly you can still, because of the House settlement, and it was supposed to be all pay for play. The players could get the $20 million, $20.5 million, whatever it is, set aside for all the programs in a sports program, a college sports program. And that would be the money you could spend. But NIL is still in play, and now they put in regulations that you can do it. You just have to make sure that it's above board and for real marketing purposes. Come on, stop it. And in the WNBA, let's not throw sex toys on the court. How many times do I have to tell fans, you don't have a license because you bought a ticket? You want to boo and you want to do whatever else you want to do? You want to do lewd and ridiculous things? You want to throw racist epithets at players? You don't get the right to do that just because you bought a ticket to a game. And I think this falls into that category. Lots of stuff to talk about. It's your show. What do you got for me? Bring it. Bring it. Bring it. CA, good morning. How are you, my friend, down in Texas? I like what the Astros did. Carlos Correa, some people don't. They got a third baseman. They got some, well, if he can still play shortstop, I think he can. They got some insurance if Pena should walk. By the way, CA, I believe, and I'll make an announcement to everybody, the Fantasy Football League, TGI Sports Talk League is full. 16 teams. All guys I am confident will participate and play hard. Good morning, Dave Guyette out in Amsterdam. Your Yankees stink. So do my Yankees. Something has to give here. Listen, you know how I feel about Aaron Boone, how I feel about Brian Cashman. I like the trade deadline moves. I would not have moved any of the top prospects to try to make this team better because I do not think this team is good enough to say I'm all in. Now, doesn't mean they can't win. But all of his people imploded. All four major – well, I shouldn't say McMahon didn't. The guys he got at the last minute, the last day of the trade deadline. That's an aberration. I'm not going to beat him up for that. I'm going to beat this team up for continuing to run bases like they're freaking drunken sailors. Wells the other night doesn't know how many outs there are. Jazz yesterday is trying to say, I was trying to deke him. I thought he was going to drop the ball and try to get me off the bases because I'm faster than Goldschmidt. Their second baseman wasn't looking at Goldschmidt running down the line thinking, I'm going to drop this ball and get Jazz at second. He was looking at Jazz and see how far he was straying off the bag and see if he could get him. You're not a mind, unless you're a mind reader, Jazz, you don't know what he's thinking. How about we just run the bases with some sense of we know what we're doing? Yankees hadn't lost a game, by the way, that they scored 12 runs in since 1973. That was Friday night, right? Right after the trade deadline. That was ugly. Right after my heated discussion with John Gonzalez Friday about Mason Miller. Listen, I would love to see Mason Miller here, but I wasn't getting him for a song. Excuse me. Sorry. Hello, Paul Spada. How are you, my friend? Jared Allen loves the rodeo. I thought the Hall of Fame inductions yesterday were awesome. I thought the speeches were awesome. You can think what you want about Shannon Sharp. The fact that Sterling brought him out there on the stage to help him unveil his statue, I thought was tremendous. I thought the speeches were really well done. There was a couple guys. Eric Allen, I never had a lot of respect for necessarily. Great player. I thought he was a problem child. He gave a great speech, by the way. Maybe he's learned. He mentioned growing up and becoming an adult in his mind, a mature adult, and how it didn't happen right away. And he apologized basically to his wife for that. But a lot of us can relate to that. I have found respect for him. And Antonio Gates, never playing a down of football in college, getting not only noticed by Tim Brewster, a tight end coach for the Chargers at the time, but becoming one of the best players and a prototype for other guys. So I thought it was a great induction. Hello, AC. Good to have you with us today. Good morning to Rick Sherlock. Good to have you. Throwing anything on the court and playing field is crossing a line. As funny as it was, I wish one of the WNB players did it, Terry O'Reilly. It is crossing a line. I'm tired. I'm tired of bad behavior in stadiums. Booing your team is fine. But we've seen in the last couple of years, and I've talked about it, we have a social contract with each other to treat each other like human beings, right? You're driving down the road, you don't flip people off, we don't need road rage. In baseball stadiums, because you bought a ticket, does not give you the right to do anything you want. Throw racial epithets, berate their families, rush the court, throw things on the court, throw food at players, spit at players. All this stuff has happened in the last few years. Needs to stop, right? Anyway, guys, we'll go wherever you want to go. We got a lot we can talk about today. Baseball. I was looking at some of the questions. There was a, and I'll talk a little bit till you guys have comments. Usually you guys are very good at moving me along. I'm going to say there's this article on ESPN, and we'll talk about a little bit about this. Real or not, the two teams that beat in the American League reside in the AL West, the Astros and the Mariners, after making big moves at the trade deadline. I love the Mariners. I've loved them all year. I love their pitching. Their pitching's not been as good as it's been due to injuries and other factors. This isn't true. There is no team to beat in the American League. There are 8 teams. I'm going to say, obviously, the division leaders, the Blue Jays, the Tigers, the Astros, and is that all there is? Yeah, the Astros are definitely contenders. The Red Sox are contenders. The Yankees are contenders. The Mariners are contenders. Yes, Alan, I will say your Rangers are contenders. That's 7. The Guardians starting to play better baseball. Could be 8. The Royals, I like what they did at the trade deadline. The biggest move was keeping Seth Lugo. They brought in a couple of useful bats. Reminded me a lot of what the Braves did a couple of years ago when they won the World Series. And the Rays, can I count the Rays? That's 9 teams. They're 9 games under 500, but again, they're not appreciably worse than the best teams. Right? So, no, I don't think that that statement is true 100% or 0%. Michael Gott in the UK, how are you, my friend? Good to have you with us. Michael, part of the AC, Michael, Rick, CA, all part of the CA. Thank you for doing all the hard work you do on the fantasy football. Any problems you have with it, go to CA. Lots to talk about, CA. Put out your questions, man. You had a couple on, I feel like there was a couple Friday you might have had late that we could revisit. I don't remember what they were. If you do, please put them in. Real or not, the 2 teams to beat in the National League are in the NL West, the Phillies and the Mets. Not real. Mets are good. got holes. Phillies are good. Really improved that bullpen. Did a great job. Mets did a great job, I thought, at the trade deadline. I thought Mullins, while he's not going to hit, much more than 220, is going to give you a little pop. He's not going to hurt you on defense. So Taylor was out there only for his defense. Couldn't hit at all. Makes them better. They helped that bullpen with Hensley and Soto. The Phillies getting Duran makes their bullpen that much deeper. But the Dodgers are still the best team when healthy. And the Padres, I think, are the second choice. I think the two teams that are the teams to beat are likely in the NL West. So I'm going to throw these topics out there, and we can talk about these or anything else. I'd love to talk about Ryan Sandberg some today. Give me some opinions on what a great player and person Ryan Sandberg was, and it's sad that this former great player is gone at 65 years old. Really hurts. It really does. Yesterday was, by the way, the 46th anniversary of Thurman Munson's tragic death. I put my usual post up there. Bill Gallo on the New York Daily News had a great cartoon that day. And for those you don't know it, he always did this cartoon with these two kids that would play ball on the sandlots. And that day you saw a picture of Thurman in the sky and the two kids saying to each other, "Let's go home. I just don't feel like playing today." It was one of the best cartoons, and to me, one of the most emotional I've ever seen. Let me throw a couple of these others out, and I'll get to some more comments. The Yankees helped their chances for a World Series return at the deadline. The Dodgers did not. Danny thought the Dodgers didn't need to do anything. I think the Yankees did help themselves. Again, Friday night, notwithstanding, they improved the rotation. And Marcus Stroman's gone, by the way, now. They improved the bullpen. They improved the infield. By the way, you will see a bullpen game in the playoffs out of the Yankees. Guaranteed. If they go very far. I think they did a really good job. And the Ryan McMahon trade looks to be the best of them so far. He's really, again, because coming here is not the easiest place in the world to play. And again, the Yankees didn't give up a lot for these guys. So it's not a huge gamble to try to make this team better. Notwithstanding what happened. I don't think the Dodgers helped themselves. Brock Stewart's okay in the bullpen and helps them a little bit. Alex Call is a decent right-handed hitter. But I don't, they were in on Stephen Kwan. They were in on Griffin Jackson. They didn't make a move on either one of them. Paul Spada, 36 moves on the 8/1/16 day before the trade deadline, most ever in a 2-day span. I'm not shocked. You're going to see this now, Paul. And this has been increasing through the years. I think they should push the trade deadline back to August 15th, quite frankly, because so many teams, with all these wild cards, teams don't know where they stand yet on July 31st. It used to be June 15th. We've had to push it from that. Everybody thinks they're alive. I said on this show and the MLB update that, this trade market was not going to break wide open until the very last minute. There's so many teams were going to wait. Diamondbacks moved a little bit early with Josh Naylor. They waited on Suarez. Great job by Seattle, by the way, getting those two corners for their playoff run. But you saw McMahon. You saw a couple of trades the week leading up to the deadline. But as Paul says, 36 moves in the 24 hours before the deadline, amazing. Right up till the last second. Which NFL coach? Oh, yeah, I remember you bringing this one up. So the hottest, and I talked about it a little bit Friday, and we can certainly switch to this real quick because we can do this here. I want you guys to remember. So you guys who follow this show and even MLB update, we switch back and forth from MLB topics. This show, we're all over the place. It's the stream of consciousness. I'm happy going all over the place. I may answer one more question before I go here, Michael. On the Jack and Keith weekend playbook, I need to keep moving. So once we've finished the topic, we're probably not going to go backwards. And I know it's hard because of 30-second delay some places before I see a comment, or you can get a comment in. It's difficult to keep up sometimes, or for you guys to get in it in a timely case. I don't want you to get upset on Mondays when I don't share all the comments, or if we've moved on, I may put it up, but we're just going to move on and not be able to. Once we've changed topics, and I've got an hour, and I have a co-host. Here, you guys are my co-host, and we're going to talk about everything you want to talk about. The other show, we got to be a little more formatted, and that's just one of the big differences, just to throw that out there. So don't ever take offense if you don't get it out. If you don't get it out there, bring it to the Sunday Stream of Consciousness or the MLB update or wherever it fits. College football will be starting back up on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, the college football huddle. Anyway, I'm going to come back to your question in a second. I want to get to this. Twins are the biggest sellers. Twins, by the way, if I'm their fans, I don't know what they're thinking about. They're starting from scratch. I don't know why they didn't trade Joe Ryan. So anyway, back to Michael's question. And we're going to get into a lot more NFL, guys. We haven't talked a lot of NFL the last couple of months. Hard to believe, as much as they make it a full season. I'm going to go. Here's what I'm going to do real quick, Michael. I'm going to go through the comments, or I'm sorry, I'm going to go through the divisions quickly, and I'll give you my comments on the coaches. Hang on one second. I need one more thing here. Or I'll just go down the list of coaches, I think is what I'll do. Come on. All right. Here's the coaches. Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon, I think he's going to be in his third year, and I think it's time for this team to compete. Could be playoff caliber. I don't think he's in trouble necessarily, but I think he should probably look to have a good year this year. Raheem Morris, I think, is on a hotter seat than people think. 8-9 last year. This whole Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix thing. I do not think the choice of Michael Penix is the right one. If it's the wrong choice, Raheem Morris could find himself in trouble. I've already predicted on this show that Kirk Cousins will be the quarterback there again due to performance, not injury. Don't know when. Could be game 12. John Harbaugh, not in trouble. Sean McDermott, listen, it could be time. He's had a great run in Buffalo, except for the Kansas City Chiefs. Maybe the most consistent team in football the last, how long's he been there? 7 years? If they don't win or they sputter and don't win a playoff game, Sean McDermott might feel some pressure. Dave Canales at Carolina. I do not think is in trouble. I think they'll see major improvement this year. Ben Johnson, obviously not in trouble. Zach Taylor, I'm going to say no. With all the injuries and whatnot they had last year, I think he did a great job. He's only 46-52 in his times there, but he's been to 2 AFC championship games. He's been to one Super Bowl and almost won it. Don't think he's in trouble. Kevin Stefanski, Stefanski, sorry, definitely in trouble because it's a mess in Cleveland. Brian Schottenheimer, well, look at your owner. So I know you haven't coached the game yet, Brian. Well, be careful about buying a house. Sean Payton, no trouble. Dan Campbell, no. although I expect them to take a little step back maybe this year. You lose both your coordinators, it is a problem. Look at the Eagles 2 years ago. Matt LaFleur, no. DeMarco Ryans, no. Shane Steichen, he hasn't had a lot to work with. I think he's okay. Liam Cohen's a first-year coach, not a problem. Andy Reid will coach as long as he wants. Pete Carroll, no. Harbaugh, no. McVay, no. Mike McDaniel, how is Mike McDaniel not mentioned every time we talk about hot seats? The guy's been in a playoff twice. Never won a playoff game. Never had a home playoff game. Guys, where are your comments today? Kevin O'Connell, no. Mike Vrabel, no. Kellen Moore, no. Brian Daboll, yes. And it could be during the season, but I think he'll go with Ben Shine. They'll be a package deal when they go. I don't think they shouldn't fire him during the season. Firing coaches during the season, managers during the season, as a rule, doesn't work. Once in a while, a great while, you catch lightning in a bottle. But as a rule, it doesn't work. Aaron Glenn, no. Nick Sirianni, obviously, no. He would have been. Mike Tomlin's an interesting situation. I do not think Mike Tomlin will get fired. I do think it'll is your chance, as there has been the last several years, that Mike Shannon will decide to go. I'm sorry, Mike Tomlin will decide to go away. Kyle Shanahan, listen, 2 NFC championships, 3 NFC West championships, 4 playoff berths, lost 2 Super Bowls. He's only 70-62. Kyle Shanahan could be in trouble if this team tanks, and I do think this team will finish last in the NFC West as we speak today. I haven't done my total review, and we'll get into that in future weeks. Well, soon. We got to get into it soon. But Mike McDonald, no, did a good job in year 1. Todd Bowles just signed an extension, no. Brian Callahan, things better start getting better in Tennessee quickly. And Dan Quinn, of course, no. Dan Quinn's safe until he goes to a Super Bowl and blows a 28-3 lead with 3 minutes and 51 seconds left in the third quarter. Sorry, 5:31. My bad. Anyway, no more comments, guys. Michael, what do you add? Is there somebody that you would say is on the hook there? So we'll stay on the NFL for a little bit. Micah Parsons and Terry McLaren have both requested trades. Look, I've been very hard on players in baseball, especially football, signing contracts. And in football, it's a little bit different because your money's not all guaranteed. Baseball, it is. They want long-term contracts. They want the security of long-term contract, and then they want to renegotiate. Football's a little bit different because you're not guaranteed all that money like you are all the time in baseball. So if you want to complain about your contract, if you want to request a trade, if you want to do whatever you want to do, do it. But come to work and fulfill the contract that you have. Do not hold out. Do not hold in. Parsons is practicing full bore. He's asked for a trade. Jerry Jones keeps running his team down, his players down. Here's the difference. I got asked a half an hour ago on the professional sports show, the big football show, I guess, on Sunday mornings on National Streaming Sports, about would Bill Belichick do anything different? Well, first of all, he wouldn't be in the press ripping his players, saying they're always hurt. Why should I pay him? Blah, 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 blah. I don't know that he's a superstar anymore. I thought I had a contract with him. I talked with him without his agent. He wouldn't have done any of that. And here's a difference. This is why the Cowboys haven't won a Super Bowl in 30 plus years. And the Patriots won 6 in 20 years. 6 since they won 1. Because there's a clear chain of command, or there was. Hopefully we're back to those days. We've had a couple lean years, right? You had an owner who let the guy he hired to put a roster together, set pay scales, and coach the team. And he had guys that helped him. In Dallas, there's Jerry Jones. Yes, Stephen Jones has some more input, but don't tell me that Jerry Jones isn't pulling all the strings, and he'd be coaching his team if the league allowed him. Jerry Jones is 100% the problem in Dallas and has been for 30 plus years. End of story. There, we got some comments now. Arizona will finish last in the West. San Francisco's will be better defensively. I listen. That offense has gotten old, or they're gone. Kittle's not the player that he was. Debo, who is a huge part of that offense, is gone. McCaffrey's an injury away from retirement. They were a good team. The defense should be better. I still think they finished last. I think Arizona's better. Seattle's definitely better. And the Rams are still probably the class of that division. Just, everybody's got an opinion. We'll get deeper into that, though. Next weekend, Mike Yastrzemski comes to Fenway Park. Good morning, Chris F. Grave, our Canadian correspondent. We don't have any birthdays today, if you want to put them up, because Drew's, I don't know what Drew's. Drew's tied up with babysitting or something. As far as I know, I don't know. Yes, this is a nice deal. And he was there, I think, with the Giants, I want to say earlier this year. Or it might have been last year, but he was there recently. And they had a nice moment when his granddad, Carl, was at the stadium. And I think it's a nice story. And you're going to see Mike Yastrzemski playing a little bit more now. He's with the Royals, right? He's one of those guys that the Royals picked up. Geez, I hope I'm not wrong. Along with Grant Gruncheck, that I think will help this team. It reminds me a lot of when the Braves brought in Soler and Duval a couple of years ago, guys that were not playing great. But if you put them in the right position, in a position to succeed, right, use them in the right situations, that can help your team a lot. Mike Yastrzemski is not a superstar. Mike Yastrzemski is a competent Major League Baseball player, though. Yeah, this is CA. This is an interesting situation, by the way, and get ready for more pay TV. As you'll see, he mentions here, NFL owners have decided. That's a pretty big story that I kind of didn't get into at the top, but the NFL owners have decided to sell out equity stake with Disney. I can't remember. It was like 15. Was it like 15%? Was that right? By the end of the month, ESPN launched direct services, $29.99 monthly. Most subs will receive service. You're going to see this is just another step in more and more games going to places you have to pay. And by the way, you do pay. Unless you got an antenna. I have a digital antenna, right? I've had one forever. I don't use it that much. It's on one of the TVs that the cat watches over here and watches, old people channels like Me TV and watches Westerns all day while I work or do whatever I do. But you're paying for football already. We had these conversations, I think, with Kenny when Kenny was still involved here and regularly contributing and talking about things like, I'll never pay for football. Well, unless you've got an antenna, you're paying for football all the time. And then you're only getting whatever's on, CBS, NBC, and that's it. You're not getting any ESPN. You're not getting anything else. If you have a cable package, you're paying for football because as the price goes up, so does your cable rate. But outside of that, you're going to pay more if you want to watch football. And if you don't, I understand. Because as we have more games on I'm sorry, ESPN. It isn't ESPN Plus. It's another. It's another ESPN offering. I already pay. Well, I have ESPN bundled with Hulu and Disney, I think. But you're not going to watch games on Disney. ESPN, by the way, is getting its first Super Bowl next year, I believe, the following season. I think the 26-27 season, they get their first Super Bowl. It'll be on ABC, but ESPN is driving that ship. But you're going to pay. They're going to be on Peacock more. They're going to be on Netflix more. And you're not going to get it on their basic services. Well, Netflix you got to pay for. They get, whatever. Peacock's got a basic free service. You're not going to get it there. You're going to have to pay. I'm not saying it's a good thing. It's just where we're going. And this bears watching, by the way. So, Keith, what's your favorite NFL coach player tirade sound bites? My playoffs. Don't talk to me about playoffs. That's probably in my top 5. That's definitely in my top 5, Michael. Denny Green. Saying they are who we thought they were. What he said, what was the other thing? If you want to crown them, crown them. That's a good one. Many Bill Parcells ones are great. Bill Belichick could do. We're on to Cincinnati. Not a tirade. We're on to Cincinnati. That was a rallying cry for a Super Bowl season. That's how fickle fans are, right? Bill Belichick just, in that same interview, because if you remember right, it was after Kansas City had blown them out on a Monday night, and he pulled Brady and put in Garoppolo. Garoppolo led a couple of, meaningless drives, and they said, "Do you have a quarterback controversy?" And he just rolled his eyes. It didn't say a thing. Trying to think of some others. NFL throws have got some great stuff in the locker rooms. Lou Saban, when he coached the Bills, they were in Buffalo, and he gave a great pregame speech about something along the lines is you can do it. You will do it. And most of all, you got to do it. You're killing me, Whitey. It's another one on the sidelines for him. They're killing me, Whitey. Penalties. There's a bunch. Love to hear from some other people, too. This is the thing that sets off a bunch of them. Terry McLaurin requested a trade to Washington. Need to quickly extend his contract for the sake of Daniels' continued development. Well, first of all, they don't have to, because he can't, unless he wants to sit out a season, and that doesn't work. We have a great case study for guys sitting out a season and how their career goes after that. Le'Veon Bell sat out a season, signed with the Jets, was never the same player. Maybe that's because he was with the Jets. I don't know. But do they need Terry McLaurin? Yeah, he's a huge part of that offense. They don't have a ton of all pro wide receivers out there. But the man has a contract. He's in camp. He might be one of these hold-ins. I'm not sure whether he's participating or not, which I don't have respect for guys. You've got a contract. And do they need to do it? No, because they've got a contract. Is there a risk of him sitting out the season? I don't think so. Now, the question, will that hurt the development of Daniels? 100%. 100%. Bill would say, I'm getting ready for, yes, as I said, on to Cincinnati. Or I'm getting ready for X, as Rick says. Good one. Correct. That's 26-27 season. As I said, ESPN gets that. It will be simulcast on ABC, by the way, but it is an ESPN Super Bowl. Things are changing. And, I said this. I've been saying this for 3 years on this show, that the landscape of watching sports, and the NFL specifically, is about to change, and change drastically. It's going to cost you more money to watch football. I don't care if you just have cable. It's going to cost you more money. Good morning, Matt. Good to have you with us. Matt, our Yankee fan out in L.A. I haven't figured this out, but as I've said to my other Yankee brethren that have signed on this morning, I cannot watch these guys run the bases anymore. I cannot watch the lack of fundamentals. This is ridiculous. Yeah, it was nice to see Boone get worked up over Jazz's comedy of errors yesterday on the base path. But he's yelling at Chapman. How about chewing out frickin' Jazz? How about pulling him out of the game? How about sending a message that this stuff isn't okay? I don't want to fire an Aaron Boone during the season, but I want Aaron Boone out of here. I've wanted him out of here for a long time. And Brian Cashman. But Boone is, and as far as I'm concerned, Boone is just a puppet for Cashman anyway. But there's a lot of managers who would have put Jazz right out of that game. There's a lot of managers with the problems Volpe's having in the field right now would have sat him down and said, look it, Anthony, you don't need to worry about your job, but you're going to sit here and you're going to watch. Just clear your head and let's get back to just catching the ball, throwing the ball. I don't need Anthony Volpe to hit 25 home runs. I need Anthony Volpe to make all the plays at shortstop. That's what I need. Those are just two of the problems. Wells doesn't know how many outs there are. Yeah. 1990, Randy Moose Milligan, 18 home runs in 48 games. Was that with the Orioles? I know he played with the Orioles. That's a nice run. Yankees had a couple of those guys. I want to say in the late 80s and mid 90s when they weren't very good. But they had Kevin Moss, who came up and hit a bunch of home runs in August and September. Thought he was going to be the next best thing and never panned out. Dan Pasqua, I remember. Shane Spencer. A bunch of guys with the Yankees. But Milligan was a decent role player for, I think he had a decent career, Chris. Matt's done with cable. Get all my stuff off the Fire Stick. I am too. I don't use cable. I haven't used cable in about 5 years. Everything I do is streaming. But here's the thing. We're going to pay for whatever we want. I mean, yes, you're going to get, I get the networks all streaming, right? And you'll get whatever they put on there. Some of the apps, if you want an NBC or an ABC app, you've got to have like a basic streaming package. Like I have to have Spectrum to be able to watch stuff on whatever ABC, the ABC streaming app or some others. You got to have a basic TV package. Could be streaming. It doesn't have to be cable anymore. It used to have to be cable. But we're going to pay more and might as well get used to it. Crown their ass. Isn't that what I said? I think I did say that. That's one of my favorites. That might be second. I think Jim Mora and that one kind of run head in head. Right? We are who they thought they were. If you want to crown their ass, crown their ass. Dennis Green, the late Dennis Green, he could give you a soundbite here and there. Good one. There's a good one right there, J-Train. You play to win the game. Herb didn't win enough games, unfortunately, and didn't last that long with the Jets or the Chiefs. Good one. Yeah. That's a very good one, James. Welcome this morning. Fun debate this morning on the big football show. Is that what we're calling that again? I don't even know. I guarantee you that'll clump again tomorrow morning. Oh, gosh. Yes, Herm Edwards, for sure. And Jerry Burns did have some good ones. I played one for Jerry Burns, didn't I, recently? I won't play it again just for the sake of the F-bombs. But I recently played a bunch of thank you, for Rick. I'd forgotten about that. There was a few tirades I played. I played Lee Elia's Meltdown. I played Jerry Burns. I played, I think, what other one? Jerry Burns was classic. Where did I hear about Jerry? I was watching something, Rick, or reading something. I don't remember now, where Jerry Burns had come up. They were talking about Bud Grant and how he had left for, I think, a year, came back. And Jerry Burns was, I think, his offensive coordinator. You can correct me if I'm wrong about what his position was on that staff. But then he got the job. Remind me a lot of Eddie Brown from the Bigelow Weavers. Eddie was a great guy, worked for the state, and he was an accountant. Brilliant mind, this guy. I loved Eddie. He's no longer with us, but they kind of looked alike. I used to think of Eddie every time I saw Jerry Burns kind of rant and rave. He didn't have the best talent, but he was a pretty good football coach, and I don't know that they ever won any playoff games under him, but that one came up. That was the first one brought up. I think Michael mentioned that one when he asked the question. That's a classic, right? Everybody knows. Let me see if I can find that. I will play a couple of these. Since I don't know how we're doing on time. Let me just see if we can find a couple of these while we're playing around here. I'm gonna see if I can play a couple of these while I don't want to fall too far behind in comments. I know we were lagging earlier, but now we seem to have some. Let's see if I can play this one at least, and we'll try. I'll see where we are. How long is this? Oh, here it is. Okay, hold on. Don't talk yet. I got to get you. Oh, hold on. It's starting to play. I don't want to play. All right. Well, this is good. Hold on. Relax, gentlemen. Here we go. Am I in? Do I have him in here? All right. Hold on. I'll head up to the stage. We'll try to blow it up so you guys can see it. Jerry Jones. Oh, what happened?
Well, I'll start off by saying this. Do not blame that game on the defense, okay? I don't care who you play, whether it's a high school team, a junior college team, a college team, much less an NFL team. When you turn the ball over 5 times, 4 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown, 3 others in field position to set up touchdowns, you ain't going to beat anybody I just talked about. Anybody. All right? And that was a disgraceful performance, in my opinion. We threw that game. We gave it away by doing that. We gave them the friggin' game. In my opinion, that sucked. You can't turn the ball over 5 times like that. Holy crap. I don't know who the hell we think we are when we do something like that. Unbelievable. 5 turnovers. One of them, we've thrown 4 interceptions for touchdowns this year. That might be an NFL record. That's pitiful. I mean, it's absolutely pitiful to perform like that. Pitiful. What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game. Another game.
That's a classic one right there. And I'm going to play Denny Green. I did find that. Oh, the video's not available. Hold on. I got to see if I can find it somewhere else. It's not available where I found it. Hold on. We'll try Denny Green here a little bit. Let me get back to your comments. But that was interesting, right? Oh, God, I love that. Terry is 30 and looking to secure his last big contract. He fully understands that he is needed and has leverage. He does have leverage. But again, it's not all about leverage. You know, it's funny too, James, because as we were talking about earlier, I'm really torn on this subject. I feel very strongly that, you know, guys need to fulfill their contracts. Don't sign contracts. And then when they're obsolete, say, I want to renegotiate. But at the same time, I get it. And football is a little different than baseball. All that money. And we're talking about guys in baseball signing 10 and 12-year contracts, and we give them options to opt out. And I guess that's where I'm at, really. It's more with opt-outs they give you in baseball. In football, it's a little bit different. But if you got a contract and you want to renegotiate it, fine, but come and fulfill the one that you have. As long as you're in camp and you're playing and if the season's going on and we don't trade you, you need to fulfill the job you signed a contract to do. As long as you're doing that, you can be unhappy with your contract. You know, listen, I'm about to retire in 25 days. This is 24, but it's off a little bit. Most years I was treated great. I was treated great by this company financially. I am now. I don't have to retire and the money's great, but I'm done. But there were a lot of years I wasn't happy. I could have walked. I didn't have a contract. If I had a contract, I would have to stay and fulfill it. Now, you know, I just have to be a free agent every year, so that's different. But again, I also knew within the constraints and the way my job was, based on my performance, I didn't have unions protecting me. I didn't have any of that. It was based off of mine and the people that worked for me, their performance. And when it was good, I made more money. And when it was bad, I didn't make as much money. And that's the way it should be. I think maybe we need more performance-laden contracts. That's what we need. Never happened. Players' unions won't let that be. JP Aaron Cibias, can you give me something easier to say? Performance decline came from an accumulation of depression from cyberbullying and cyberbullying. I'm not cyberbullying here, am I? I have to check out this. I don't know who we're talking about here, quite frankly. But I agree with your sentiment for sure. Let's end cyberbullying. Let's end bullying altogether. Oh, I remember this guy now. I do remember him. Yeah. And he wasn't even playing at a time when cyberbullying really was probably just taking hold when he got through. So, yeah, in any event, in real life, forget about sports. And there's a lot of it now, by the way. There's death threats. That's cyberbullying, isn't it? Look what Lance McCullers Jr. went through with the Astros earlier this year. It's nonsense. It's kind of the same thing as I talked about. You know, you go to a ball game or the WNBA, they're throwing sex toys on the floor. Now, you might some of the sophomore people with that maturity level, like I have, might think that's funny, but I even don't think that's funny. I think it's harassment. And just because you pay to get in that building does not give you the right to do anything you want. Just because you have access to social media and maybe you have access to some of these people's accounts to comment, you don't have the right to just say whatever you want. You can go to a ballpark and boo. You can politely say, you know, so-and-so, maybe you should do a little better job or whatever. You don't be nasty. Good morning, Danny Fuller. So right now we have 4 countries heard from: the U.S., Canada, the UK, and Michael got, and now California. Our 2 California guys are here, Matt and Danny. Boone's pathetic, and his team shows it. Agreed. I will say this: I'm not in favor of firing him now because it doesn't work. Again, I've said this before. I can think of 2 times, and there might be more. 2 times it's ultimately worked with the World Series victory, and that was the 78 Yankees and the 2003 Marlins. Don't fire him now, but after this season, if I don't win a World Series, he's got to go. And if you don't think these mental mistakes, these base running mistakes, the lack of fundamentals, missing cutoff men, throwing to the wrong base, no situational hitting. If you don't think that reflects back on management style, you're wrong. I was happy to see him at least yell at Chapman yesterday, yelled at somebody at least. And yes, the first base coach has got to get in Jazz's ear and say, get back here. That double play was far more detrimental to this team than an advantage they would have had by him getting to second base if the second baseman dropped the ball. The second baseman wasn't contemplating dropping that ball, but then again, I don't know that any more than Jazz knew he was thinking about it, unless he can read minds. He said he looked at Goldschmidt. Go watch the tape. He looked at Jazz at first base and how far he was off. And dropping that ball, he doesn't know where that's going to bounce. This isn't some little looper. One set price, I get everything. I'm in sports heaven. You got a jailbreak? I hope to have one coming, by the way. As a retirement present, I've been promised, I won't divulge who because these things aren't necessarily legal, but I've been promised a jailbreak. I had one years ago, and after COVID, I didn't see. You have to reboot them every so often, at least the ones I had in the past. You had to reprogram them after because they'd find a way to block them, right? But I will theoretically have every sporting event you can possibly think of, including darts, CA. Movies that are still running in the theaters. I had those in the past. You had to be careful. Sometimes you get them with Chinese subtitles. But we'll see if I get that or not and how long it'll last. So you're paying though. I can't believe you get everything. I mean, when I think of everything, I think of every NFL game, which means the NFL ticket. Every Major League Baseball game, every NBA game, every hockey game. So I'm not sure. I'd love to know what streaming you're using because I'd look at it, quite frankly, in case my jailbreak doesn't come through. Chris, Jacoby Jacobson was a home run machine in his debut, touted as Edgar, as a new Edgar. As a new DH when Edgar retired in Seattle. Blasted back issues made the boy a big flash in the pan. Back issues have been the downfall of many, prospects and great players. Donnie Mattingly is a prime example of if you don't have your back, you don't have nothing in baseball. You need your legs, you need your back. We need a lot of things, but if your back goes, Donnie Mattingly went from being arguably the dominant player in baseball to just another guy. Still contributed, though, defensively and whatnot. Jack did take a bit of a beating this morning. I don't know if Jack was sticking up for Jerry or ripping Jerry. I have no idea. It's very clear, though, the problems in Dallas are Jerry Jones. This whole situation with Micah Parsons and previously with Dak Prescott, and I don't think Jerry Jones is a racist. That came up today. I don't think it's got anything to do with a race. I just don't think he knows what he's doing. You don't go out there and publicly berate your players that they can't. They're out there in contract disputes, right? Again, I don't have a problem with it. Aaron Boone goes into a press conference and says Jazz can't make that stupid play. He should. But Jerry shouldn't be talking about Dak and Parsons and saying, well, they're never on the field. You can say that. The difference, again, between the Patriots and the Cowboys. Again, the Patriots weren't that good 30 years ago when the Patriots the Cowboys won their last Super Bowl 30-some years ago. But how many playoff games have the Cowboys won since 2000, let's say? And you go back to 95 or 96, whatever it is. Compared to Super Bowls for the Patriots, it's because of the chain of command. Jerry can't be the owner, the GM, the salary cap guy, and the coach, which is what he wants to be. And he's probably the de facto coach now with Brian Schottenheimer there. Oh, Kobe Ramos was a guy who was a big prospect with I want to say with the Cardinals originally, right? I don't remember what that intimidating stance was, but this was a guy, Chris, who was a great prospect. Yeah, again, great reason for us to talk about this. You talked about the guy in Seattle, Jacobson. You talk about Rasmus, sorry. Brian Taylor with the Yankees. Tons of guys. Great prospects. They get traded. We're worried about, we can't trade these prospects, which is my point with John. John, if you're here, I don't want to get into a huge back and forth again, but I mean, again, if you think Mason Miller is worth George Lombard, then make the trade. Because I have a known commodity in Mason Miller. I don't have a known commodity in Lombard. I don't know what he is. I hope he's great. I hope he'll be the shortstop of the Yankees, and I wish he could be now. Volpe's not playing well. I don't need a lot out of Volpe. I need defense. So again, I'm not necessarily against trading prospects. My whole argument on Friday was you're going to have to trade Lombard to get him. And if you're okay doing that, then do it. For years, the Yankees were afraid to trade Gary Sanchez because he was a hotter prospect than Aaron Judge, if you remember back in the day. And for years, they wouldn't trade him because they were afraid he was going to blossom somewhere else. Well, it was apparent he couldn't play here, so why not trade him? And when they do finally move on, he's got no value left at all. I see you on the other side, Ozzy Osbourne. Quite the send-off for Ozzy in London this week. Michael Gott, not sure whether you're a big Black Sabbath or Ozzy Osbourne fan. I wasn't a huge fan, I can tell you. One of my friends who I graduated with in high school and lived together in college and friends with to this day. I don't see him that much, but big Black Sabbath fan, big Ozzy Osbourne fan. I know he was, this was a tough time for him. But I can tell you, Ozzy had a pretty good run. I bet you if you had a poll back in the 70s when Ozzy Osbourne lived till he was 76, I would think the under would have been played in huge numbers. Relax, gentlemen. This is where I get asked, what are you watching? What are you? What? What did you say? What are you watching, Chris? Chris has done a good job of what I had tasked him to do years ago. I think feels like years ago now. The Finn who yelled at the D-back player about his mom dying. That's not cool. Another one. That's another great instance of what I'm talking about, Matt. You don't get to just have license to do whatever you want. I did a vlog on this, and I think when I retire, I'm going back to do my weekly vlogs, which were just a rant. So there's no participation. You guys can tell me whether you, again, I don't know. A lot of you guys are newer since I gave up the vlogs a couple of years ago. I don't know why I stopped doing them. But I did a weekly vlog that was 10 or 12 minutes long, and I would just rant about whatever was on my mind. And I had no audience participation, and then I would just post them. They got great reception, probably more views than anything, because guys like those shorter videos. And I may go back to doing it. But I did one about this. It was around the time, and Jay Morant, I know, has gone off the, off the rails. But at the time, he had not gone off the rails yet, and they were in a playoff series, I think, and people in the stands were hurling racial epithets at his parents. We had a spitting incident in the NBA. We had guys getting popcorn thrown on them. And I said, we all have this unwritten social contract with each other to treat each other with some kind of respect, whether it be on the roadways, whether it be in the grocery store, restaurants, or when you're a spectator at a ball game, a sporting event. And a lot of that has gone away. Social decorum in this country is ridiculous. The other questioning I put on the Jack and Shaq show, in the coming seasons, will there be any team that can take over? That's a good one, Michael. And I'm going to tell you, I say no. And here's the problem. Here's the rub. I'd like to say there are. Dynasties are good for football. But then you get all these conspiracy freaking nuts who dress up the referees in Kansas City things and show Mahomes or Brady, whoever we're talking about, kissing referees, and because they can't possibly be good enough to do this on their own. The Chiefs are starting to crumble, and I wouldn't count the Chiefs out yet, just by the way. But who's the next Chiefs? Who's got a chance? I'm not sure I see a team. I would have to look at a team, a young team, ready to mature. Is Caleb Williams in Chicago that guy? Don't know. Is Daniels that guy? I don't know. Joe Burrow could have been that guy. No defense. Look at the teams I'm trying to say. I mean, again, it's so hard today. What Kansas City has done in a lot of ways, this will sound blasphemous to my Patriot compadres. In a lot of ways, this Kansas City run has been maybe more, as impressive, even though it's not as long, as the Patriots run because of the salary cap, which I know we had, but it's harder now. You're tying so much money up into quarterbacks and wide receivers that offensive lines don't have any depth. It's going to be very hard for teams to go and what's Kansas City done now? 3 Super Bowls in 6 years? Nobody's going to do what the Patriots did. 20 years? I mean, you could break that up into 2 dynasties, I suppose, because they did have a little lull, but they were still making AFC championship games. I mean, people forget. They said, well, after 90 or 2005, they really didn't win another Super Bowl until blah, blah, blah. Well, I would say that in that 20 years, they were in like 14 AFC championship games. So Denver, if you believe in Bo Nix and the weapons surrounding him, the Redskins, yes. By the way, a poll of African Americans, a poll of Native Americans, 90% of them want the Redskins name and logo back. Just an FYI. Packers, I guess. It could be a potential. Vikings, if J.J. McCarthy were the guy, I guess the Vikings could go on that kind of run. The Lions, if they can ever get over the top. Don't talk to me about Michael Penix and the Falcons because I'm not listening. That's all I really see. And again, it's so hard, Michael. So hard. So hard to be that good over that period of time, right? Dontrell Willis could have continued a career as a first baseman, left-handed, 6'6". He did have a decent stroke at the plate. It's funny how many Dontrell Willises there have been through the years, guys who are just like shooting stars, right? They just flamed out so quick. Batters and pitchers. It's kind of sad. Dontrell was a really, really good pitcher, and maybe he could have become a hitter. I mean, we're seeing it. Well, actually, it's happening the other way with oh God, who's my favorite Yankee trade acquisition? The human wind tunnel. Why am I losing his name? It's terrible. Anyway, he's trying to have a second career as a pitcher. Michael Lorenz. Guys, I'm reading a book right now. One of the books I'm reading, because I tend to read like 3 or 4 books at a time on my Kindle. Depending on the mood I'm in, that's what I read. I'm reading a book now about the Dodgers through the 60s. Don Drysdale one year was their leading hitter with he hit 300 with 7 home runs. 1 year. That's why the DH sucks. I just brought up one guy. There you go. I was ahead of you. I'll say Drysdale. Ken Brett was another guy who could hit. Not a very good pitcher, but he could hit. Rick Wise hit 2 home runs in a game. Trying to think of some other guys. And you guys can throw out some guys' favorite pitchers that could also hit, which will never happen again. Well, Ohtani comes to mind, obviously. I'm going to say outside of Ohtani, Danny Fuller. Danny Fuller, big Dodger fan. Don Drysdale was a tremendous hitter. I don't know his career stats, but I don't think that year was an aberration either. Seaver was a good hitter. Remember the first year of the DH in the American League, 1973. Ken Holtzman had a bat all year, and he hit 2 doubles off the Mets in that series. So there's a good one. Throw that out there. Who's your favorite pitcher who can hit? Garth Brooks played spring training for the Royals and Padres, not as a celebrity. Garth could play baseball professionally. I don't have any evidence to either support or make an argument against you here, Chris. I'll have to take your word for it. Through the years, there's been a lot of guys that have gone. Charlie Pride, which some of you may or may not remember. Charlie Pride, country singer, would go to spring training with the Rangers every year, and he would play in. They'd let him play in a couple of exhibition games. But when you say he played in spring training with the Royals and Padres, you say not as a celebrity. What does that mean? He wasn't there trying to make the team. I don't remember this coming up. So clarify that a little bit. I think you meant he could. I think you say that. And again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Chris. I hate that. You're saying not as a celebrity in the sense that he was a good baseball player and could have played if he wanted to. That's entirely possible. There's been some celebrities that were really good baseball players and did play professionally. Chuck Connors played professionally with, I want to say, the Cubs. I think he played basketball and baseball, if I'm not mistaken, Chuck Connors. The Rifleman, for those of you who are too young. Happened July 5th. Ozzy was amazing. I wasn't a Sabbath fan. Here's another comment about. I never saw Sabbath, but I saw him perform back in the 90s when he went solo. Were you a fan? And Matt, I'm guessing Matt's a fan. So, Michael, you went to see him. So I'm guessing you're a quasi fan. I mean, would anybody have laid odds that Ozzy was going to make it to 76 years old? Which, by the way, I no longer think is old. I get very, very melancholy when I see anybody who dies who's not 95 these days. I see guys die that are 76, and I go, man, I got 11 years left, maybe 69. I got 4 years. This is why I'm retiring. Rick Sherlock and I talked about this when I was, been debating it the last couple of years. I don't want to die sitting at my desk. Could I continue to do my job and do it well? Yes. Could I continue to make a boatload of money the next few years? Yep. But for what? I want to enjoy what life has to offer and the things I've put off doing because I had a job. I had a career. Because I had a career. I never had just a job. I'm very thankful for the fact, by the way, that I never really had a job. I've had really 2 jobs my whole adult life, and that doesn't, I know, Rick, you're in that situation. Some of you who are in my age group are probably the same way. I mean, I had 2 real jobs my whole life that spanned 40 years. Now people are hop jobs like every 2 years, not because they get fired or they're no good at it. They just want to do something different. I had 2 different careers, 2 very different careers. They were both in sales and management, but I loved them both. I was very fortunate that I was always doing something I loved. I don't know how I got on that. Here's your stream of conscious for you. Rockies are breaking my heart, Rick. I made a note of this morning because they've won 2 straight again, and they're now on a pace to lose only 118 games. 44 wins and 118 is their pace right now, which is they've been playing really much. They go 5-5, and you say that's great baseball for the Rockies. Actually, they go 3-7. We say that's good baseball for the Rockies. No, 4-6, I guess they'd have to be. But anyway, yes, I mean, I had them on a pace for much of the season. They've been around a pace for 131, 132 losses. So that's a tough record. You got to be really, really focused to go out and break that loss record. Now, again, a 5-game losing streak, and they're right back on track, right? But I will continue to update you guys. Thank you, Rick, for bringing that up today. I'll continue to update you on the MLB update on Fridays and on this show on Sundays. By the way, I hadn't thought about this, but a couple programming notes real quick. Check out Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook tomorrow morning and Friday morning, 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern. Catch it anytime on my Facebook page or YouTube or later on. I share it to hundreds of groups as well. Doing really well. The feedback has been really well. It's a different show, and was feeling our way at different times, and I have to start to work the mute button more on Jack. But also, the College Football Huddle will be back on Wednesday at 7. And just a programming note about PM, that is. And just a programming note on this show. We're traveling to Connecticut to my stepson and his fiance's new house that they bought here last month. And we're going out Saturday, staying Sunday, and then we have to go to a tasting, I guess, Sunday at 5 o'clock out there. But again, the point I'm bringing up is I'm going to be on the road. Not sure what we're going to be able to do about this show. You know me, I'm going to try to do it. I'm going to make every effort to do it. and I'll let you know if we're not going to do it. I'll put a little note up, but hopefully you'll see the posting on Saturday. We'll do the show. Michael, I have a lot of confidence in Mike Vrabel. And even Patriot fans were not a big fan of Mike Vrabel getting this job because they thought, oh, look what he did or didn't do. And again, they're looking at the end of his time in what am I getting at? In Jesus Christ. I'm trying to find where'd it go? Here it is. The end of his tenure at why is this the wrong guy? This is not the right guy. I want to get his coaching record up here. This will work. So his first year, if I'm not mistaken, where's his coaching career? Come on. Thank you. His first year in Tennessee was 2018. This team before that season, so 3 seasons before that, their record was abysmal. Abysmal. I don't think they won 11 games in those 3 years. He takes them 9-7 the first year. He goes to the AFC Championship game in his second year. And then he loses in the divisional games the following 2 years. The last 2 years, 7-10, 6-11, not good. But there were some issues there. He had problems with the GM. I think Mike Vrabel is a great coach. I think Mike Vrabel is going to bring back accountability to this organization. And from what I can read so far, the culture change has been dramatic. And I'm excited. For the first time in quite a while, 3 years anyway, I can see a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm praying it's not an oncoming train. But Mike Vrabel's a good football coach. Mike Vrabel knows what needs to get done in this organization. He knows what Robert Kraft wants. He's working with people he likes again. He's got a quarterback who might have some weapons. Problem is he still doesn't have an offensive line. Right now, I'm sitting on the Patriots being somewhere between 10-7, 9-8, 8-9, 7-10. I think they could be anywhere in there. Now, something could happen. That offensive line could be worse than I think, and they could win 5 games, which to me would not be success, but anything 7-10 and above, we are making progress. In the Jack and Keith show, you both stated that the MLB draft has changed now with a lot of relievers getting traded rather than starters. It's not really a new concept. It's been progressing. And I think you're talking about not the draft so much as the trade deadline. Yes. It's getting to be more so. There was only a handful of starters traded. It used to be that everybody was going out and looking for the high-end trade starter, the guy who was on the end of his contract. Now it's relievers, and it's been trending this way for a while, Michael. I don't want to say this year was the first year this ever happened, but you're seeing now, and I can tell you I can't tell you for a fact. I can tell you for a fact that I believe come playoff time, teams, the Yankees included, rather than have to rely on a fourth starter, are going to go to the bullpen. There's going to be a bullpen game. If the Yankees are in the playoffs and need a fourth starter, I think rather than throw, and let's say it's Heel, let's say it's, Max Fried. Heel is ready to come back. Let's hope he's as good as he was last year when he was good. and Rondon, who I'm not crazy about, but still. They may feel better than throwing out Will Warren or Schittler, whatever you say. They may be better off going. They may feel they're better off going with a bullpen game. You might see this in Philadelphia. You might see this in the Mets. I think that's going to be. I mean, you see a lot of bullpen games during the course of the year now. And I think you may see more. If baseball doesn't change their ways, and I'm not happy about this. Don't get me going about the way the game is played today. But again, the job is to win games. Normal 5-man rotations may be a thing of the past, much less 4. And you may see, 3 starters in bullpen games more often during the regular season and into the playoffs. I don't think, and I could be wrong, I don't think we've seen a bullpen game in the playoffs up until now, at any point in time. I would be shocked if you didn't see at least one and potentially a handful of bullpen games come this playoff series. Oh, that's a good one, Billy. Babe Ruth, back to the pitchers who could hit. Babe Ruth was a great one. I kind of throw Ruth and Ohtani out of this question only because are they hitters who can pitch? Or are they pitchers that can hit? But Babe Babe held a record for, maybe still holds a record for most scoreless consecutive innings in World Series play. He was a great pitcher before he hit full time. As a pitcher, he led the Red Sox. This was during the dead ball era, by the way. Remember when Ruth started hitting, 40, 50, 60 home runs, he was out homering entire teams. Listen, I've said for a long time, I've said this forever, because you have to remember when Babe Ruth became a hitter and became a bigger than life superstar. It was right after the Black Sox scandal. And I've said forever, if it wasn't for Babe Ruth, we may not know sports here the way we do. And I say that every single, I started this during when ESPN ran its Sports Century 100 top athletes of all time. It's probably 15 or 20 years ago. I don't remember. Maybe longer. I don't. And I said every athlete today, the guys who are in the rest of that top 10 and top 100, and every athlete, for the money they make today, for the fact that they have a job doing what they do, they should all say a little prayer to Babe Ruth when they go to bed. Chuck Connors. If we're talking about celebrities, I think I mentioned him already. There was a couple others too. But Chuck Connors was a pitcher, and he might have been a hitter too. And good morning, William. I didn't say good morning to you. Thank you. Bill and his daughter's boyfriend will be the last team in our you're not last, Bill. You're the last to fill out the group. You filled out the group. So we have 16 solid fantasy football players, people that we can hold accountable here, Rick. In past years, we've done everything we could to get the league full and took in guys that we couldn't necessarily track or stay in touch with. Everybody that's in that league participates in this show or some of the other shows that we do. So they'll all be participating, and if they aren't, we can call them out and ridicule them until they do. Actually, that might be cyberbullying, wouldn't it, Chris? Maybe I shouldn't be doing that. But thank you for joining, Billy. I know you'll do well. didn't see Pride play in the minors with Hank Aaron. Charlie Pride. I don't think, he might have now that I think about it. Let's take a look, Chris or Matt. Well, who asked me that? I'm going to say baseball career. Charlie Pride had a brief but notable career in baseball before achieving fame in music. He played in the minor leagues, including a stint with the Boise Yankees and the Missoula Timberjacks, and also played semi-pro baseball while working had a smelter. I don't know what a smelter is. I think it's got to do with fish in Montana. While he didn't make it to the major leagues, he did participate in spring training with the Rangers and even got a hit in an exhibition game. I do remember all that. I don't know. It doesn't say here that he played with Hank Aaron, though. And it's not giving the years, so I don't know for sure. Baseball reference. Charlie Pride's in the baseball reference, guys. Let me see. Maybe I can find out here. He actually played the Negro Leagues as well. Interesting. I can't believe he would have played with looking at these years, though, man. I can't believe he would have played with Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron was already in the majors when we're talking about, well, not 1953. Memphis Red Sox, Birmingham Black Barons. That'd be the Negro Leagues. I'm going to say that if he played with Hank Aaron, he would have had to have played. Yeah, they don't have their roster either. So, not sure. I'm going to say if he played with Hank Aaron, it would have had to be in the Negro Leagues. When did losing teams become so interesting? What are we talking about? Who are we talking about? Well, losing teams are still part of the sports world. And if you're talking about the Patriots, I think you're talking about the Cowboys and the Patriots, probably, and Tennessee. Rick, I don't know what the answer is to. I've been looking for the Dennis Green. I'm trying to. It's hard to do the show and Google and look for something, so I can't find this video. If anybody can find the video of Dennis Green, send it to my messenger, my personal messenger, and I'll try to play it from there. I keep finding it, and the video's not there anymore. Wait. So Vrabel loses 3 in a row and gives one away. That should have been a win. We are prepared. How do I answer this question? I know this is pointed at me. No, if they lose 3 in a row and Mike Vrabel's not at fault, again, they are prepared to be a better football team. Then I don't think anybody's going to argue this, than they were under the previous regime. I love the guy. He wasn't ready to be a head coach. Got thrown into a horrible situation. Mike Vrabel is a different guy. Guys are going to be held accountable. I'm not telling you this team's winning the Super Bowl. Again, there's a possibility this team wins only 5 games, but is better. As long as I see improvement and we're not playing boring, we're not losing and being boring, because if there's only one thing worse than being a losing football team, and that's being a boring losing football team or baseball team. So if I see some improvement, and they have to have an offensive line, if this offensive line doesn't play better than it played last year, and quite frankly, the reports were not good in minicamp. They seem to be getting better in training camp again by print accounts. I need to see him play. And the problem is I'm not going to know anything. Well, I might know a little bit about the line and exhibition games because I think you'll see some of those guys playing together. But the problem is they're not playing against anybody who's playing their starters. So, I'm not going to give up on him. And if they lost their first 3 games of the season, I'm not going to turn on Mike Vrabel. But again, I'm not easy on my teams, and I'm never going to be. Danny, you and I have talked about this, and I know you're more like me than I thought. I'm hard on my teams. I'm not just a rose-colored glasses kind of guy, which is why I was a little surprised about your Dodger comment about the trade deadline. Because you made it seem like they didn't go out and try to get anybody. I gotta believe they were out trying to bring in guys. They've been the best team in baseball other years, and they go out and make a lot of trade deadline moves. They did last year. We want our teams to be better. We want our teams to be good. And I don't just look at it, and I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, the Patriots are going to go 17-0. I got to work really hard probably to find 9 wins for them if I look today. And the problem is I'm not going to know how good my team is, your team is, or any team is until about October 1st. Because we don't hit in training camp. We don't play players in exhibition games, the players that are going to play. So it's going to be October 1st before I know if anybody's any good. Am I falling way behind? Yeah, a little bit. Sorry. When a son follows his father in professional sports, it's fun to match up the kid's birthday with the season and the city the father was playing in. All you can do is picture a hotel door with a do not disturb sign. I have to admit, I have no idea. I had no clue where you're going with this till I read the last line. You got me hook, line, and oh, Jesus. You made me sink in my seat. That's awesome. The job is to be playing in late October and November at 100%. The job is to win championships. That's the job. 100%. I haven't talked to Larry Sorensen in a bit, but I'm planning on having Larry on in August. I got to reach out to him myself because I want to talk about the ACC and some of the nonsense going on there and what where he thinks Wake might end up. I'm pretty sure there won't be an ACC much longer. Read a great article in the Athletic this last week about what if realignment was based on basketball needs and not football. It's very interesting, actually. It's an interesting read. Tom Glavine and Mike Hampton were decent. Glavine was a decent hitter. I think that's a good one, Mike. Hampton, I don't remember, but I think you could be right. Those are good calls. Michael, good job. I love these questions. See, this show is fun. I mean, it's great to talk about the world of sports and the things that are going on and debate everything, blah, 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 what we do. And I love it. But I like some of this. I do like some of these irreverent questions, not irreverent, but, well, outside the box. Who were the best hitting pitchers, right? What were the best sports movies? And all the things that we throw out from week to week. And don't start throwing out sports movies. It's getting late. Because we've done that before, and we'll do it again. I love some of this stuff. It's great. Keith is trying to say that they'll be our final team to join, not last. Keith is trying to say they will be our final team to join, not last. You're offended. Oh, my God. No, I'm happy Billy took my challenge and got in this league. Now, by the way, we have I talk about the countries that tune into the show. Chris, I wish you'd gotten in because I don't think we have anybody from Canada, but we have teams in the U.S., so one country. We have two teams in the UK, and we have two teams in California. So 3 countries competing for the fantasy football championship this year. Danny doing his best to cover up my face again. Good job, Danny. I agree with you. The Pats, without doubt, will be much improved. And ditto, they are definitely harder on our teams. We are definitely harder on our teams more than others, no doubt. I want to be good. I don't want to just pretend. I feel Page should be battling the Bills. Oh, maybe the Pats be batting the Bills. You sure the Jets are just clowns and the Dolphins don't have? We talked about coaches. Again, coaches in trouble. How does Mike McDaniel never come up on these lists? He's a great offensive coordinator, and that's what he ought to go do. Otherwise, he's a clown. I mean, he's an interesting soundbite himself. The Pats could, look at. I think I might be asking for a lot for the Patriots to challenge the Bills for first place. I think they can challenge for a wild card. I think today. I need to see how things play out in camp a little bit more, but going to be interesting. And we get to see the Bills on Hard Knocks starting on Tuesday night. Last registered team gets first pick. It's in his contract. Listen, just so everybody's assured, if Keith gets the first pick, which I don't want, by the way, if Keith gets the first pick, this is all randomly picked and by the computer, and I don't run this league. CA runs this league. Talk to CA. But I don't want the first pick. I mean, great point, and we don't make a habit of talking a lot of fantasy sports on this program, but we can talk more if we want, I guess. Drew usually gives our updates on our baseball league, which he's not with us today, so we don't have those. And I think I'm beating him. Very convenient. He doesn't show up today. Oh, it's 9-9. Sorry. So sorry, Drew, if you watch this later. I don't want that first pick because, again, 1 through 16, 16 through 1. That gets me 2 of the top 32 picks. I don't want that. I think I want to be 10. I'm sorry, 8 maybe. I don't think I want that first pick. It'll be fun though. We'll have a lot of fun. The fact that everybody that's in pretty much participates in this show, and I'm thinking about, I don't know, my wife will kill me if I had another show, and I don't know when I would do it. Because I'm still considering moving the time of. I'll probably leave the NFL or the college football huddle when I have it at 7 p.m. Eastern, I think. I'm considering moving the time of the MLB show to a morning hour. I don't know whether it would hurt attendance or not. I don't know. I've been trying to get feedback from the audience. I don't seem to get it. But I'm considering adding an NFL specific show, the NFL update. I just don't know when I would do it. It'd have to be probably Mondays. Maybe Mondays after I do the Mac and Jack show at 9 a.m. or something. I might do that. I'm considering it, and we'll talk. I'll think about it. I don't want to get locked down in too much, right? I want to be able to go out. The whole point is of not having a job is to be able to kind of have some freedom and do what you want when you want to do it. Not have to plan everything. Madison Bumgarner, great one. Great hitter. Bob Gibson was a good hitter. Definitely good ones. And I'm right, Danny, right about Don Drysdale. I think I want to say 64 or 5. He hit 300 with 7 home runs. I don't think maybe that was an aberration, but I think he was still that good a hitter. Gibson's another one, very good. Can't have these conversations now because nobody hits except Ohtani. Michael Lorenz, a little bit. Talking of fantasy, Keith, can you give me a quick idiot's guide to the draft day for fantasy league? Any tips? And do I need to do some research beforehand? Never done it before. You can get into, I would do some research, but when you get into, if you go into the league, I think there's cheat sheets there, Michael and Billy, anybody who needs this information, maybe not follow fantasy sports as closely. There's cheat sheets there. When you get into the, I would test the draft room that week I think that day you can test, make sure you can get in the draft room. You could do mock drafts through Yahoo, or what? Are we on Yahoo? Yeah, we are on Yahoo, right? You can do mock drafts and see how they go, right? But again, there's cheat sheets, and when you get in the draft room, they're also going to give you you can get rankings based on the settings for your league, based on overall fantasy rankings. So you'll get some help from the system itself. I would get in there and just fart around, look around at some of the projections and things like that. I think it would help you, Michael. Change his name to Michael's Monarchs now. Is my name TGI Sports Talk in there or the Tweedler? I don't know. Someday I'll tell you guys this. Most of my fantasy leagues are Tweedler. It's a funny story that I'm not going to share here. Some people might know it already. I don't know. Maybe I've told it here before. Who's out here I haven't talked to? John Gonzalez is only watching today. Hasn't jumped in. Hasn't wanted to get into an argument with me today. I love John Gonzalez. He is the best. He's got the best group out there. No offense to any of my other favorite groups you see scrolling across the bottom of the screen or any of the other groups that allow me to share. John's my favorite guy. He comes here and he participates. He's just like me. We can get into little squabbles, and look, I get in squabbles with everybody that's here. You're as much a friend to me when I get done as we were before. I forget it. None of this is personal. It's freaking sports. I did the same thing at work. I never did anything. Nothing was ever personal, whether it was coming at me or whether I was giving it out. And then once I'm done, I'm done. Have a lot of fun. And John's that way. John runs one of the best groups out there in sports authorities. And he also comes here and participates, and we love that. Big D was one of the great ones. I would say, from what I know, again, top 5. I'm reading this great book, Danny. Crap. If you're interested, and again, I'm reading about 4 or 5 books right now, but let me see if I can tell you what this book is. It's on my phone. I'm reading on my Kindle. But how do I get back to? I want to get back to my homepage. Hold on. I'm going to tell you the name of this book, Danny. Oh, great. I just changed I don't have my Kindle with me, but I have my phone with a Kindle app on it. There we go. I want to give you the name of this book. That's not what I want. There we go. Where is it? Why is it not here? God, I got some fun books on here. There's one about the Dodgers, and it basically takes you to the 60s, and it focuses on Koufax. It focuses on Maury Wills. It focuses on Wes Parker. and all these guys. Oh crap! I don't know why it wouldn't be coming up here. It's not coming up on my. It's my library, but it's not here. Just downloaded a book about Saratoga, Rick. Maybe you told me. Somebody told me about it. I downloaded it. I haven't read it yet. Saratoga and the gangsters in Saratoga, New York in the 40s. Danny, I can't find it. Maybe I'll post it so you can have it. It's on my Kindle. So we got about 9 minutes left. John Gonzalez is priceless, 100%. Even attempted to get a response from him, calling the Jets class. John's, I don't know if John's out there watching right now. He was here at some point, I could tell, because he put a like up. I love John. John's the best. And John sent me after the show, I got to tell you, John, I don't know if you're here. I hope you're here. Probably not here. John sent 2 voice messages. The only other guy who sends me voice messages through Messenger is Chris F. Grave. And Chris is funny because I'll hear a different. If it wasn't coming through as Chris F. Grave, half the time I wouldn't know who it was because he'll change his voice. He's got some great voices. I got to do some lead-in stuff for some of my shows, Chris, and I wish I was more technically savvy and could just send you some copy to read for me and then use it. Maybe I will. Maybe I can. Chris has got a great radio voice, and he changes it all the time. Anyway, John sent me a couple of back-to-back after Friday's MLB update, and I don't know why, but I look at John's picture, and the voice doesn't match I don't know why. I don't know what I expected. Very New York, which is great. I love them. Love New York guys. My wife's from Long Island. But I appreciate the messages, John. He was trying to spell out what he was getting at. We're often on the same page, but we're arguing about things I'm not really talking about. I mean, Friday, my whole issue was I'm okay with Miller coming to the. I kept calling him Matt Miller too, by the way. On Friday, I don't know why, but I'm okay with Miller coming. It just again, it's going to cost Lombard, and that's it. So whatever. It was a good argument. I love those debates. These shows would be boring as hell if we just sat here and said, yes, Danny, that's a great point. Yes, Michael, that's a great point. Yes, Chris, that's a great point. Yes, Drew, that's a great point. Who the hell's going to watch that? You want to watch me babble on with ridiculous predictions like the Giants will make the playoffs last year. Yeah, teed you up, Danny. Oh God, 10:24. We're gonna wrap it up here. If you guys don't have anything else, remember the draft. We'll talk more football. There's a lot of news going to be coming up with football, and baseball. Could be a fun August and September, man. I got some travel dates coming up in September, which I don't think will affect too many of my shows. Mac and Jack will be on tomorrow morning. Mac and Jack. Used to be Mac and Jack. Jack and Keith's weekend playbook will be at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. We'll get into more of this stuff we talked about. I'm sure I'll get into what Jack was railing about this morning. Then we have to record next week. Jack will be off both Monday and Friday. I'll be on by myself. Maybe we'll do some. I might give you guys the opportunity to come on the show with a link to. It didn't work on and other venues. We'll try it again here. That would be on the 11th and the 15th, and we're going to pre-record the 8th, the show from the 8th. So we probably won't have a lot of audience participation. I might do it live that on the 7th and then just rebroadcast it on the 8th. So when you watch on the 8th, you won't be able to comment is all I'm saying. Parsons to the Bolts. Good luck with that. That'd be a big, big trade for the Bolts, though. He's not getting traded. Listen, McLaren's not getting traded. Parsons not getting traded. Keith, you and the guys is what I'm up for at 5 or 5:30, no doubt. Well, I appreciate that, Danny. You and Matt both have got to get yourselves up. I'm an early bird myself, right? So, 5 o'clock is when I'm usually rolling myself out of bed. And because I wake up at 4:45 every day. I could go to sleep, which I haven't done in a long time, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I would wake up at 4:45. It's something in my head. It's like the frickin' Amityville Horror where the guy woke up at 3:15 every day or whatever time it was. So I love it. Listen, I've told you guys 100 times, and I want to add one quick thing. I'll finish up with this. This show, the MLB update, you guys are my co-hosts. The College Football Huddle, you guys are my co-hosts. I get all your comments in here, and I want to do it, and we'll jump all over the place. It's a stream of consciousness, especially here. I don't have a problem going back and forth. Jack and Keith's weekend playbook, I got to be a little bit more what's the word I'm looking for? I gotta stay on target a little more because I need Jack to stay on target, right? So once we move on to a new topic, I might post your comment or whatever. And don't get ticked at Jack. Jack's just Jack. We have a lot of fun, man. I know we had a little one issue this week, and I just blow it off. Because now I have a co-host, so it's a little harder. When you guys are my co-hosts, we just let it rip, and it's fun. So we try to be a little bit more. Boy, there's a word I'm looking for, and I can't find it. I hate being old. But we have to, again, I get to your comments. A comment. We're going to get to the ones that are most relevant. And once I've moved on, I probably am not going to go backwards. That's all. Just understand it's a great one. You guys have a great Sunday. It's going to be beautiful here again. We had a top 10 day here yesterday in New York. We have 10 great days a year. Yesterday was one of them. Had a great time all day. Today looks to be the same, but I think I'll take my wife out for dinner and then come back and enjoy a little outdoor time at a fire later and enjoy it. So you guys have your great Friday. Sunday. Enjoy. Somebody put a comment up. So if I play this music, didn't you hear me at all? The Friday my music was really drowning me out as I tried to talk at the end, Jack told me. I'm curious whether you guys can hear me. And if not, let me know. Engle from TGI Sports Talk, Sunday Stream of Consciousness. Have a great weekend. Rest of the weekend. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.